Vitor Belfort stops Evander Holyfield in the first round. Interesting main event for Triller. The card was interesting overall. You have Vitor Belfort taking on the former heavyweight boxing champion, cruiserweight champion, five-time champ Evander Holyfield. Fight starts, and you can kind of tell right away Vander's slow. Like, he's definitely slower than he once was. He didn't look terrible. Obviously knows how to box. The footing looked a bit off. You could tell Vitor's speed was getting to him. He was trying to like pepper out the jab there on the Southpaw Belfort, for the early portion of the round. And then as it continues to go, Vitor gets inside. He does land a nice straight. And then it's followed by some other shots, iffy overhand uppercut that then leads to the knockdown. It was called as a knockdown, but he was definitely off balance. Evander was actually stepping on Vitor's foot as that uppercut went through, and then they called it a knockdown. Kind of could have been a slip, but I guess technically speaking, right, if you're hit on the way down, they call it a knockdown. So I guess that's why it was one, but I don't think Evander was super hurt. But then Vitor did land a really nice straight that snuck right through Evander's guard, got him buckled a bit towards the very end. And then obviously tons of follow-up shots weren't landing really clean, but he was attacking and Evander wasn't doing much. He had the high guard up most of the time. Stoppage. Was it early? To be honest with you, because he's 58, I see why the ref jumped at stopping it. But for me, if I was Evander, I would want to know that I really don't got it anymore. Let this guy go out on the shield. I would have gave him at least another 10 seconds. I would have tried to let him go to that second round. If you look back at some of Evander's fights a long time ago, I mean, he sometimes, gets ran out there a bit in the first round, like against Tyson, way back in the day. He got pressured early and he had a bit of trouble. He was able to weather the storm and come back. Stopping it that early didn't allow us to see what could have potentially materialized. Now, I'll be 100% honest. I still think Vitor was probably on his way to stopping him, sadly, but I would have rather had known for sure than now we have this relative doubt in the back of our minds. But after the event, the craziness of that post-fight interview, she's interviewing Vitor as the commentary booth team is interviewing Evander. Nuts. Then they do another interview with Vitor again. It was very interesting. Definitely some miscommunication there. But what was funny is Vitor Belfort then calls out Jake Paul. The Triller guys jump in and say 25 million. And then there's another Triller promoter. Definitely had a few drinks. I don't know if you guys could tell, but I definitely think he did. He was feeling it. He said 30 million. Jake Paul, Vitor Belfort, winner takes all fight. I don't believe Jake Paul wants that fight. I think Vitor Belfort would annihilate Jake Paul. We saw his level now after watching that Woodley fight. Do you really think he's going to do well if he goes in there against a Vitor Belfort who just put away, yes, 58, but still Evander Holyfield? No, he doesn't. Vitor Belfort would run over Jake Paul. Jake Paul is not going to take that fight. He won't be making the 30 million. So why go out there and take a loss? Because I really feel like it would be a clear-cut victory for Vitor over Jake Paul. Does he take it though? Because I mean, Vitor called him a little biatch, said that let's go. I don't know. He was going on some weird rant about family and whatnot. I don't know what Vitor meant by that. I mean, Jake Paul has a family and stuff. I don't know. But I think that fight doesn't happen. That's for sure. What do I think's next for Vitor? Maybe they do the De La Hoya fight, but I feel like De La Hoya's like, let me sit this one out. Because if you can put down a 58-year-old Evander, I feel like you can beat an old coked out De La Hoya too. I think Vitor Belfort has a lot of options. Anderson Silva, maybe. That would be a hard fight for the Spider because Vitor looked good. Like, we're talking about the early stoppage and whatnot. Vitor Belfort looked like a legit boxer. Southpaw stance, pressure style, still has the lightning fast hands. Back on that TRT, he's got the mountaintop traps. Evander looked fantastic too, though. We have to note that. Holyfield will fight again, I believe. Maybe the Tyson one, but I don't know. I feel like Tyson might run him over as well. We'll see what happens with him. For Vitor, he'll definitely be back in the boxing game. Call that out, boxers. Then was going on a rant also about allowing clinch in boxing. That's not going to happen. Either you're doing boxing or you want to do MMA, or maybe you go to BKFC if you want the clinch. We'll see what's next for Vitor. I thought it was a fun night, interesting main event, sad end, a little bit of an early stoppage, but at the end of the day, the referee was watching out for Evander's safety, but I would have preferred let him go just a bit longer. Now, guys, smash the hell out of the like button. Need at least 50 likes on this post-fight breakdown. I think we might blast past way more than that if we have. Thank you, guys. Thank everybody who supports the channel. Subscribe, turn on the post notifications, and also, if you haven't, check out my breakdown post-fight of Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz as well. Thank you all so much. Much love. See you all in the next video.